guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Intuitive Angling, and much appreciated you guys checking out today's video and spending some time with me, guys. And I have a great summertime bass fishing tip today. I'm going to talk about my summertime finesse crankbait technique, the system I developed to catch bass in the summertime of the year, especially like June, July, and August, or excuse me, July, August, and early September. This works really good. So we're going to go over some of the baits and the technique and the areas you need to look for in the lake. I think it's going to add up to some good fish under some very tough fishing conditions that we all have during the summertime of the year. Also, guys, big thank you to everybody that's taking time to hit that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. I really appreciate that. If you haven't done that, it's a good way to support the channel, free and easy, just to hit that subscribe button. And also, guys, anyone interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can do that by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler. Shoot me a private message and I'll get you the info for that. And I can give you guys a great finesse crankbait on the water lesson here this summer if you guys are interested in that. So really appreciate that. Okay, guys, summertime, especially the dog days of summer, when it starts to get July, August, and early September, some of the most toughest fishing conditions that you're going to have all year long. I think if you gave me, say, what is the toughest time frame of the year to catch bass in most lakes, it's going to be from about early August to mid-September. The bass are really spread out during those situations. You got bass suspended, you got bass shallow, you got bass deep, you got issues with oxygen content that makes the bass a little bit more aggressive. The bass have been fished for 6 or 7 months, so they're educated and they've gotten a lot of pressure on them. So there's a lot of things that make bass fishing tough in this time of year. Plus on top of that, you got the hottest water levels, hottest water temperatures, and usually you have some dropping water. So all this combined makes for some tough fishing. Now you have a couple different options as far as fishing this time of year. You can chase suspended fish with a spot lighting box like a lot of people do. You can fish deep, above the thermocline on the bottom, down 15, 20, 25 foot of water. But what you'll notice is that during these dog days, when it gets really nasty, the shallow patterns sometimes will outproduce the deeper patterns. Now, if you look back, for example, at some of the Bassmaster Classics and some of the Forest Wood Cups that we used to have in August, a lot of those tournaments were won shallow during the summertime of the year because there is an active population of bass that time of year, and one of the best ways to catch them is finesse cranking. So let's get into that a little bit. Now, the crankbait I'm going to talk about, guys, today, this is the Megabass Super Z1. Now, you've heard me talk about the Super Z2, which is a little bit deeper lipped, but for today's summertime cranking, we're going to be talking about the Super Z1 that has like a little square bill lip on it. This is a very small crankbait. This crankbait is just, probably 1.25 inches long, probably weighs about 1/4 of an ounce, and with the lip right here, the square lip on it, it'll get down on a long cast with 8-pound line. It may reach 4 feet, but that key target zone is when those fish are like in 1.5 to 3.5 foot of water. That's what I'm looking for this particular crankbait to work. So in order for this thing to work, and also, guys, I'll link this Super Z1 in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video. I've got one buddy, guys, that fishes at Lake of the Ozarks. This is his favorite bait this time of year. He's got an absolute box full of these Super Z1s here. So they're fish catching baits, I'm telling you right now. But anyway, I'll link this in my Tackle Warehouse link if you want to pick up a couple there. But anyway, what you want to look for here with this particular crankbait, I'm going to talk about the areas and the type of structures, and then we're going to talk about a little bit about how to fish it. This is all about stained water. It's like you're not going to catch many fish on this particular bait if you have water visibility over 2 feet. So my ideal water visibility for this bait is about 8 inches visibility to about 1.5 or 2 foot of visibility. Ideally, like perfect, anything either side of like 1 to 2 foot visibility. Perfect scenario for my type of fishing. Give me about 10 or 12 inches of water visibility, because if you got 10 or 12 inches of water visibility, the fish are going to be shallow and this is going to hit that zone that they're in. So this type of water, obviously all lakes are not going to have this color of water, but you're going to have a lot of lakes that do if you go up into the upper extremities of the lake, like the upper river arms, the creek arms, say for example, here in my part of the country, you can run up the Neosho River or Spring River up Grand Lake and get into this water visibility. You can go into any of the river portions in the Ozark Lakes and get into it. Wherever you have that type of water clarity is going to be good. What I'm looking for most of the time is either rock or wood. It's like it works on both. And it works on both pretty much equally. The first thing I like to do is I like to run up into that stained water area, and I like to get on any type of rocky, bluffy channel type banks that has stained water on it. I'll take the Super Z1. I like to fish it on a spinning rod with 8 to 10 pound test Seaguar and Vizex line. I like a spinning rod on it because you can cast it good on a bait caster, but the spinning rod, it'll allow you to get a longer cast that gets the bait down deeper. So when I'm fishing those rocky banks, and riprap too, like if you guys fish Lake Dardanelle in Arkansas, or any type of lake that's got riprap in it, that's got stained water, Lake Eufaula in Oklahoma, excellent bait for that. Get on those rocky banks and parallel them and try to target and knock that 2 to 3 foot zone of water. You have got to be deflecting. It's like if you're throwing this thing and it's running above the bottom, you're not going to catch much. You need to be constantly knocking where this thing's deflecting off of rocks. That's why you got to target that shallower water, and the longer cast with that lighter line is going to help you catch more. So that's my number one favorite way to catch them. I'll have days in the summertime, guys, where I'll catch 30 or 40 a day in the heat of the summer on this thing. And another thing about the rocky banks like that, key on the shade. It's like shade is everything, even if the water is stained. So position yourself based upon the time of day to catch those shady banks. Always, even if you have a shade line that's just this far off the bank, those fish are going to be sitting in that shade line with the Super Z1. So that's super, super critical. Only time that shade isn't a big factor is if you've got a low light day, like a cloudy day, or dirty, muddy water. Then you don't need shade quite as much. Now, the second way to catch them on this, guys, is fishing it just like a square bill crankbait, deflecting it off of wood targets. If I do fish it around wood, like lay down trees or stumps or logs in the water, I usually use it on a bait cast rod with like 12 to 15 pound test Seaguar and Vizex line. And I just deflect this thing off wood. It'll go through wood great. It deflects off of limbs really good. So I'll throw it as close as I can to the side of a log, a stump. I'll throw it, along the branches of a lay down tree and, crawl that thing through there. They will hammer this thing. During the summertime, you want to fish this thing with what I call a medium fast stop and go retrieve to trigger a reaction strike. You don't want to throw it out there and just reel it in like that. You want to throw it out there, stop, reel it fast, stop and go retrieve. So you got this thing coming through there like that, just, to trigger that reaction strike in that warmer, shallow water. This will also work good, guys, if you have shallow grass, like if you got some lily pad, like some lanes and some lily pad fields, throw this in there. The edge of any type of grass beds, like some hydrilla or milfoil edge, it's going to be really good with that. But anyway, guys, really good way to catch them. When fishing's tough, this is my number one choice. Like I said, if you guys don't believe me, come down here and we'll go out on the water lesson and I'll show you exactly how many this thing catches. But anyway, guys, give it a try. Between now and mid-September, great way to catch bass under tough conditions. And again, guys, everything will be linked in my Tackle Warehouse link if you guys would like to pick some up. They make a lot of different colors in the things, but if you guys just want to get 2 colors, let me show you the colors you want to get. The first one would be, this blueback chartreuse side, and the other one, this one's called frozen glass. But these are my 2 favorite colors right here for the summertime fishing. Just caught a ton of fish on both of these. So anyway, guys, hope it helps you do good, and we'll talk later.